Can Zhen Huan, blessed with both beauty and talent, truly outshine all in the imperial harem and enjoy everlasting favor? I reclined alone on the opulent couch in the warm pavilion, idly supporting my chin with one hand slanted. Despite my lethargy, I felt not a hint of sleepiness. I only noticed a gold hairpin atop my head, from which dangled fine tassels, ending in a ruby that felt cool against my cheek. Over time it seemed to blend with my skin's warmth, losing its chill. In a state of half-sleep, I heard a faint voice calling me, "Miss Mississippi." Slowly regaining my senses, it was Huan Bai's voice outside the curtain. I didn't get up, lazily asking, "What's the matter?" She didn't reply, and I knew it wasn't something trivial. Reviving my spirits, I said, "Come in and speak." She lifted the curtain and slipped in, whispering when she got close, "You of the cold palace refuses to die quietly, causing uproar, insisting on seeing the emperor before she can rest." I shook my head. What's the use of such desperate struggles? What did the emperor say? The emperor is utterly disgusted by her, simply saying he won't see her. Has the empress been informed? The empress has been suffering from migraine these past few days, unable to even leave her bed, obviously unable to attend to this matter. I pondered. Then it falls to Consort Hua to deal with this. But Consort Hua has always been close to you, and it's too late for her to distance herself now. She'll surely try to avoid it. Miss is right. Consort Hua claimed she was feeling unwell and couldn't go. I raised an eyebrow. Is Li so incompetent? Are a few eunuchs unable to handle even one frail woman? Huan Bai frowned disdainfully, saying, "You is very aggressive, smashing poisoned wine and acting like a madwoman, cursing our lord in the cold palace with words so vile they're unbearable to hear." I sat up straight, smoothing my hair. Does she still have the face to curse? With her going on like this, she'll likely die with nowhere to bury her. You insist she's been framed, unaware of why she's sentenced to death. I stood up, extending my hand for Huan Bai to support me, and said deliberately, "Then accompany me to the cold palace, let her die understanding why, to prevent her from becoming a wrong spirit." Huan Bai was shocked, quickly saying, "The cold palace is an inauspicious place, Miss must not go. Moreover, you will surely lose control and harm you. You must not put yourself in danger." I gazed at the bright sunlight outside the window, straightened the tassel of the lotus pouch embroidered with gold thread on my skirt and said, "We cannot let her continue this reckless behavior. Let Zhen Shi come with me." Knowing my mind was made up and I would listen to no further advice, Huan Bai could only order the sedan chair to be prepared, and together with Zhen Shi we set off. The cold palace, known as Tujin, distanced from the residences of the concubines and empresses, served as the confinement for those dethroned throughout the dynasties, symbolizing the stripping of their luxurious attire and a life of enduring hardship. Many a dethroned concubine or noble lady, unable to bear the desolate life of the cold palace, either went mad, took their own lives, or both. Hence, it was privately deemed by all as the most resentful and ghostly place in the entire imperial harem, with its deep-seated grievances and heavy energy. Those living nearby often heard endless cries, sobs, and curses emanating from Tujin, and some even claimed to have seen fleeting apparitions in white near the palace at midnight, which only added to the avoidance and fear of the place. Riding in a palanquin for quite some time, there still seemed no sign of nearing Tujin. As the afternoon warmed, Huan Bai and Zhen Shi, walking alongside, began to show beads of sweat on their foreheads, occasionally wiping them with handkerchiefs. The eunuchs carrying the palanquin, however, maintained a steady and uniform pace, walking briskly. I instructed, "It's hot, walk slower." Then turning to Zhen Shi, I asked, "How much further?" Zhen Shi replied, "Past the Xianglin Garden at the end of Yong Alley, then a bit further north." The houses at the end of Yong Alley were quite low, inhabited by lower-ranked palace servants. Further on, the path grew desolate, as if reaching an uninhabited place. A large, dilapidated palace came into view, long abandoned, with broken roof tiles and thick dust and spiderwebs covering the once golden decorations, rendering them indistinct. Before even entering the cold palace, I could hear a woman's hoarse and shrill cursing. I ordered the eunuchs carrying the palanquin to wait outside and went straight in. The eunuchs inside knelt down to greet me as I entered. Li Chang, a close attendant to Emperor Xianling, didn't need to kneel by protocol and simply bowed, saying, "Wish you peace, Lady Huan." I politely responded, "Please rise," and gestured for the eunuchs to stand. I then asked, "Has your task not been completed, Li Chong?" Li Chong, with a wry smile, pointed to Yu, who was still loudly cursing, and said, "As you can see, miss, she's quite the shrew." Yu's eyes blazed with a terrifying light as she lunged at me, grabbing my garment and demanding, "Why are you here? Where is the emperor?" She looked past me as she spoke. Jin Shi and Li Chong both shouted in alarm, "Let go of miss." I coldly pushed her hand away, saying, "The emperor's precious self wouldn't lightly step into the cold palace." Yu, disheveled and in tattered clothes, her eyes dimming like a snuffed candle, pointed at me, crying and shouting, "It's all your fault, you vile woman, deceiving the emperor into wanting me dead." Huan quickly stepped in front of me to protect me from harm. Perhaps Yu's loud cries dislodged the thick dust on the beams, causing some to fall. I couldn't dodge in time and coughed as dust settled on my shoulders. Seeing this, Yu clapped and laughed maniacally. "Good, good, even the heavens won't spare you, you heartless wretch." Li Chong, seeing her vile curses, slapped her across the face, causing her cheek to swell with 5 red fingerprints. She touched her cheek, still looking at me with a cold smile. I took out a handkerchief to wipe the dust off my shoulder and said composedly, "You are the architect of your own misfortune, unworthy of life. It's just dust. If it's annoying, just brush it off. It's hardly a matter of consequence, let alone something for the emperor's former favorite to rejoice over so greatly." Yu, catching the implications in my words, gradually ceased her laughter and stared at me intently. The corners of my mouth subtly lifted as I said, "You refuse to die without understanding your fate, so I shall enlighten you." My expression turned serious as I continued, "It was you who tampered with my medicine, wasn't it? Caught red-handed, you can't deny your guilt." She looked up defiantly, her face twisted with rage as she gritted her teeth and said, "Yes, it was I who orchestrated it. Were it not for you, how could I have fallen from favor? How could I have ended up in such a state? I wish to gnaw on your bones, drink your blood, and curse you to never find peace in death." Li Chong moved to strike her again, but I raised my hand slightly to stop him, and he stepped back behind me. I then said, "Now that you acknowledge your crimes, why not accept your punishment quietly? It's all because I was careless that you discovered my plot. The emperor banished me to the cold palace, and I have no one to blame. But I had only just arrived when the emperor suddenly ordered my death. Dare you say you didn't whisper poison in his ear?" I smiled faintly. "Why would I need to stir the pot? You should know best why you were favored." I paused, the smile on my lips deepening. "Do you remember the night of Chinese New Year's Eve in the Ime Garden against the biting wind? Easy does it, do not break, do you recall?" Yu's face slowly registered doubt, which then turned to horror as she screamed, "It was you. It was indeed you." She threw her arms wide and lunged at me, her voice hoarse with rage. "The person that day was you. My rise and my downfall were both because of you." I sidestepped and said to Jin Shi, "Such disrespect, slap her for me." You missed her target and fell heavily to the ground, stirring up clouds of dust. Without a word, Jin Shi stepped forward, pulled her up, and delivered 2 sharp slaps, leaving her lips split and bleeding. Seeing you dazed from the blows, I signaled Jin Shi to let her go and said, "The means by which you gained favor were never honorable. You should have been cautious and kept to your place. Yet, you repeatedly caused trouble and failed to learn your lesson, escalating to poisoning and plotting against me. How could I possibly forgive you?" She listened despairingly, and at the mention of not being spared, suddenly sprang up and rushed towards the exit. Li Chong, quick as a flash, pushed her back inside. She shook her head wildly, screaming, "I won't die. The emperor loves to hear me sing. He won't kill me." She struggled fiercely to escape as the eunuchs grappled with her, causing chaos. I gestured for Li Chong to come closer and said in a low voice, frowning, "This can't go on. The emperor is irritated, and the empress's migraine has flared up again. We can't let her continue this disturbance." Li Chong was also troubled. The emperor ordered her to take her own life, but this madwoman smashed the medicinal wine and tore up the silk. "There's nothing we can do." I then asked, "Li Gonggong, how many years have you served the emperor?" Replying to your question, I have been in the emperor's service for 20 years. With a smile I said, Gong Gong has served the emperor diligently and with great merit, and you have a wide knowledge of the palace's affairs, understanding the emperor's thoughts the best. I paused deliberately. Since the emperor granted her the right to take her own life, death is the outcome. Once dead, your task is also completed. And who would investigate whether it was suicide or something else? Li Chong whispered. Does the miss mean you has no allies in the palace, and no one would speak for her? Now that the emperor detests her, I shifted the conversation asking, how should concubines ordered to follow their lords in death be dealt with if they refuse to die willingly? Li Chong, quick to understand, immediately looked down and said, yes, you understand better than I the risks of prolonged affairs. By ending her, the emperor also puts an end to a concern. Li Chong bowed respectfully and said, I understand. I will escort the miss out. I smiled faintly, taking Huan Bai and Jin Shi with me as we left slowly. Behind us, Yu's shrill curses rang out. Zhen Huan, if you don't die by my hand, someone else will finish you. You will not die well. Her manic laughter was as chilling as an owl's cry, stabbing at my heart. I pretended not to hear and continued walking out. Huan Bai bitterly said, she doesn't repent even at death's door. I calmly responded, let her be at the brink of death.
Follow us to avoid getting lost and enjoy endless exciting stories. For more content, please go to the Story Wall homepage to view more exciting novels.